Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farrukh Petafi. Once again, we are going to talk about the political developments. Actually, we didn't have that many political developments today, with the exception of two things. Mian Nawaz Sharif left for UK, where he's going to visit his wife who's ill, who's going through a treatment. On the other side, Imran Khan also addressed a media conference where he fulfilled his promise, where he had said that people who sold their vote in the Senate election will be expelled. Today, he named the names and he demanded he said that he has sent a show cause notice to those candidates and he's waiting for the answer. If they don't give a proper answer, they will be expelled. But astoundingly, this development today actually qualifies the point made by Prime Minister of Pakistan, because he kept on complaining. The Prime Minister of Pakistan kept on complaining about the quality of elections that returned the current Senate or the members of the Senate. And at that time, many people said that, why are you challenging the election of Chairman Senate? At that time, he said that every political party conscientiously should come on record and say whether their votes were sold or not. And today sort of qualifies that point. But there are many developments that we have to talk about. Yesterday, if you remember, we were talking about the caretaker setup and then the question of delimitation of constituencies as well. These two things are there, and we are going to talk about that as well. And naturally, the overall field of the battle in coming days, when the election or electoral mode starts, we are going to talk about those situations, the war of the narratives as well as the situation is today. To help us understand these matters, we are joined by Imtiaz Wadai Saab, a senior expert on legal affairs and advocate. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. First of all, I have to ask one question that I asked yesterday as well. Do you think that elections are going to take place in time?
Apparently, there are some type of apprehensions are there. Some people are talking about that maybe there will be some issue of delimitation and some other things. Maybe people start demanding about process of accountability should take place first, and thereafter election should be conducted.
Yeah, but there is no provision for that in the Constitution.
But my point of view is that the elections will be on time.
Okay. Yeah. So how does the Election Commission of Pakistan do away with so many references, so many challenges to the delimitation process? Because they are only human and they have a limited time window, and they have very limited human resource as well. And there is a huge pile of cases regarding delimitation.
So this is, yes, I understand and I agree with you, because this is a big test for Election Commission of Pakistan and their capability and their capacity, whether they are in a position to resolve all these issues. But in that case, if Election Commission feels that it's not going to arrange all these type of delimitation activities and then conduct elections on time, then they have to send certainly a reference to the Supreme Court of Pakistan to get
some kind of extension.
Some kind of extension, because under the Constitution there is no such provision.
Okay, if there is such a situation where they have to seek some kind of extension, may it be 2 months or 3 months, who's going to be in charge at the center of the country? Is it going to be the incumbent government, or is it going to be the caretakers who are supposed to come within 1.5 months?
Yeah, I guess that the Constitution is very much, clear about the time period of Parliament, means National Assembly,
right,
which is going to be, dissolved by the end of May. So if a reference is sent by Election Commission of Pakistan to the Supreme Court, it all depends upon the summary of that reference, whether they will request to the incumbent government to continue for some more months. But I guess that there is more likelihood that they will recommend for extension in the period of caretaker setup, I guess.
That's what I said. Here's a question that was quite interesting, and it grows out of a recommendation given by the leader opposition. to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who said that the assemblies should be dissolved one day before their expiry date. And at that time, when we asked the experts, they said that because if they do it one day before, it adds 30 more days to the caretaker setup. Just help us understand, how does this magic work?
But actually, this is the requirement actually under the Constitution of Pakistan, and if this is dissolved on exact date when it has to dissolve, then they will have window of 60 days, you see. And in case one day earlier, they will have window of 90 days.
Why and how? I mean, this is nothing short of magic, is it?
This is the Constitution and this is the law, you see that.
Right.
And the intention of the legislator, they usually made this Constitution. So,
who amended it? I believe that it was amended through the 18th Amendment, right?
Of course.
So they must be thinking about something.
Yeah, of course. So
what is the rationale here? Help me understand.
Sometimes you see that laws have no rationale. Sometimes you see that laws are laws, and if those laws are, you see.
I can understand when you say that in-laws are not rational, but laws usually are supposed to be, they grow out of common sense, don't they?
But I'll say vice versa, you see. In-laws have no rational maybe, but in-law. So anyway, so coming back to your previous question, you see that all the political parties, they're on board. They want elections as per schedule. So they have no intention for the extension in the time, you see. This, we should keep in this fact as well, because no political parties...
When you say all parties, are you including Pervez Musharraf's party as well? Because, who knows?
Do you treat that party as a party?
Yeah, why not? They contest in elections, right? So, are you sure that everybody is on board, same page?
Actually, you see the mainstream parties like People's Party, Nawaz League, then PTI, these are JUI.
Balochistan Awami Party.
These are the parties which are mainstream parties in the politics of Pakistan. They are not interested in the extension in the period, you see. So, so very rare chances of extension, which I see, but only the reason, technical reason, if Election Commission of Pakistan, they feel difficulty to resolve all this before time.
But my concern, Vadai Sahab, is that somehow when we have been amending the Constitution repeatedly, and when we talk about things of that importance, like delimitation, for that matter, the census, once again our Constitution is silent. I mean, why is it that we can't imagine in a wholesome way?
Actually, see that when any law is made or promulgated by the executive in the form of ordinance, they see the past experience and the present scenario. Sometimes they can't visualize what going to be happen exactly in the future.
You are talking about the lawmakers, right?
Yeah, of course.
The lawmakers are supposed to be leaders and they are supposed to have vision for the future.
You see that everybody has vision, but it is no necessity that every...
Far-sightedness?
No. Actually, you see that I must say that they honestly and fairly, they try to visualize what is going to happen in future and what are the requirements of future. But you see that there are some, you see, limitation in the human, you see, judgment and about vision, about
and
future.
We are talking about multiple people. We are talking about an entire house. We are not talking about one person or two people.
Of course.
You know, caretaker Prime Minister Vadai Sahab. One name is of Justice retired Tasadduq Jilani. One is Ishrat Saab, the former Governor State Bank. And then Razak Daud Saab, the former Commerce Minister during Pervez Musharraf's time. He's also been nominated. But they are nominees of PTI at this moment. Why is it that other parties are not nominating people right now? And what do you think of these three names?
Actually, these three names, like if we talk about Ishrat Hussain, Dr. Ishrat Hussain, he's very good name and he has very good...
He's actually brilliant when it comes to understanding of economics and
especially
reforms.
in the present scenario of Pakistan, we are facing, you see, economic, you see, crisis and economics problems. So he's the best choice, I guess. He is a balanced person. He has run State Bank very successfully. He is also...
remember, he doesn't have that kind of powers, does he? When he becomes a caretaker Prime Minister, especially when he is going to be there for 60 days.
Yeah.
his post usually is supposed to be a lame duck post because ECP controls the rest of the country, right?
Yeah, actually, you see that the caretaker prime minister, the main and core function of that prime minister is only to conduct and create situation and in the country for fair elections.
Yeah, but now,
during
their controls have been taken away, pried away from their hands, and they now exist with the Election Commission of Pakistan.
The Election Commission of Pakistan only plays role in that scenario when there is a requirement of some type of executive, you see, posting, transfer, and these type of things.
Right.
So in that case, they have to vet all these things from
So that,
Election
my
Commission.
dear sir, is actually governance.
So
Without the postings and transfers, you cannot have governance. can you?
but for the time you see that a person who is a caretaker prime minister, first of all, the masses of Pakistan should have total trust and confidence in his integrity, you see. And he's man of integrity, you see, known person, and nobody has any question on it.
Okay.
And Razak Daud, he's a good businessman, you see, and he has also a good business empire and very successful, progressive businessman. And he's also a good name. But maybe there will be some type of difference, you see, on because he was close ally with the government of Pervez Musharraf at that time.
So
and
what?
Maybe.
One-sixth of the current cabinet actually comes from Pervez Musharraf. It doesn't matter.
No, but
I mean, these are three people that you and I can trust. Anybody can trust, right?
Yeah.
But what about Tasadduq Jilani Sahab? Because last time I heard his name, it was Imran Khan standing on a container telling Justice Tasadduq Jilani that I don't trust you and you shouldn't be the chief election commissioner.
Yeah.
And now his name has been presented by the very same party.
Yeah. Actually, you see,
PTI.
this is a dilemma you see in Pakistan, you see that. We have
Dilemma, irony or something else?
You can say both because
Okay.
because on one point of time we have different type of you see point of view on different things, and on maybe after couple of months or couple of years we had different stance. So at this moment I guess that the most favored person, if I
Only
may
three
be
names
I may be allowed to among these three people, I will certainly say that Dr. Ishrat Hussain, because he will command more you see trust and favor from all the circles of politics in Pakistan.
But remember, the argument you use to disqualify or sort of, undercut Razak Daud Sahab also applies to Ishrat Hussain Sahab because he was the governor of State Bank during Pervez Musharraf's time, if you remember. So that becomes a problem there as well.
No, you see that we have to see that Razak Daud is an entrepreneur, you see, he's a businessman.
Right.
So whatever he is doing or he has been doing, you see that he was doing for his own business.
Yeah, but,
So, but on the other side,
with due respect, just to find a counterpoint,
Yeah.
the current Prime Minister of Pakistan, who's very valiantly and very loyally representing PMLN right now,
Yeah.
was heading PIA during Pervez Musharraf time. So it doesn't matter. You might be associated with the government, but in the next, you can have your own opinion.
no, let me complete.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, actually, you see that I am looking or I am trying to identify the areas because Razak Daud, he's a businessman, you see. No? And you see a businessman, he may have different type of, you see, differences with other businessmen. Because there are many businessmen in Pakistan. They are competitors to him as well. And so he did whatever he did first of all in his own business interest. Beside being the member of the cabinet of Musharraf.
Okay.
Whereas Dr. Ishrat Hussain, he is a professional man, he is a technocrat, and he was a professional, and being professional, he was treated as a good professional, and he ran the affairs of, you see, State Bank very successfully.
Yeah,
and even presently, you see that he is heading IBA.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
and he has.
And he was heading a reform committee as
Yeah,
well.
of course.
One name was suggested by Jamaat-e-Islami, and they somehow go for the most difficult option. They nominated Abdul Qadir Khan, for that matter. But the problem at this moment is, sir, whenever we see the list of names, we somehow end up seeing technocrats, former judges, bureaucrats, at times businessmen, right? We hardly see retired politicians, A. we don't see women being nominated for such posts, astoundingly. Why do you think that would be so?
As regard of politicians, we have seen Balak Sher Bazari in
No,
past.
that was a very different kind of scenario. And then his government was thrown out, and then he was barred from being called Prime Minister.
Actually, see that you are right, because being politician, they have their inclination towards some political party, you see, and that's why they may be treated as, or may be made controversial. So that's why politicians are not nominated for these type of assignments, which are of temporary nature and interim period for that. And generally, technocrats and the people, and those technocrats having good, you see, repute among, you see, people, they are nominated for that.
Yeah, but there is a context.
Yes, as regard of your ladies, yeah.
We have spent last 9 years debating the possibility of a technocrat government.
Yeah.
So the moment you have a technocrat as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, a caretaker Prime Minister, immediately people start worrying that maybe we are going to head into a very different direction. What do you do with that?
You see that this is, again, there's sort of, you see, apprehensions of people, you see that. Otherwise, he has very limited, you see, time period.
Okay.
Caretaker Prime Minister or his cabinet, and similarly, caretaker Chief Ministers in the provinces. So very limited period, they have only one target, and that is target of to make or facilitate for free and fair elections. So they don't have, you see, a big agenda for that. They have only one agenda, single line agenda, you see. So we should not have, you see, that any type of expectation from those technocrats as Prime Minister, as Prime Minister who is elected through the Parliament. They are only in charge of the, you see, interim period.
Right.
So that's
and
why
day-to-day affairs.
Day-to-day affairs, day-to-day affairs, and you see they can't involve in long-term policies, and these type of things which have to be, you see, that ratified by the Parliament later on when the Parliament will take over. So so that is a very simple task. You see, on one side, Election Commission is there. Election Commission has to, you see, take all the steps and measures to conduct free and fair elections, and all the arrangements should be, you see, smooth arrangements. There should not be any flaw in that.
Right.
And the caretaker Prime Minister has to deal with day-to-day affairs. That is
Right.
simple.
About what Imran Khan has done today, sir. He has issued show cause notices to 20 of his MPs. And the argument is that somehow they sold their vote during the Senate elections. Now, there are two questions that come to my mind. One, because earlier Prime Minister of Pakistan was saying that something of this sort happened, right? And everybody else was saying it didn't happen. And then the Prime Minister said that, based on your conscience, come on air and tell us if nothing of that sort happened. Now Imran Khan Sahib actually comes on air and says that this happened. Doesn't it actually qualify the Prime Minister's position? This is one question. The second is, if these lawmakers are fired for some reason, the party can de-seat them, the Election Commission of Pakistan can de-seat them, NAB can arrest them. I mean, corruption is corruption. What happens, or what will be the status of the Senate elections that have taken place?
Actually, you see that this is not a new allegation in the Senate elections. It's not first time happened. In past, it was, you see, some, you see, people accused of it, and they said that they have, you see, bought the votes of the, you see, members of provincial assemblies, and so that always happened in past elections as well. But this time you see that the main thing is that the results of the Senate elections were quite surprising in some areas, like in Punjab you have seen that one of the
senators server actually managed to
was
win.
elected.
Yeah.
And similar thing happened, you see, in other provinces as well.
And Pakhtunkhwa People's Party is, you know,
yeah,
senator,
they have also
female
they have
senator
also.
one.
Yeah. So of course, yeah, this is a big question mark. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan rightly, you see, disappointed out because there was a sale purchase of, you see, votes between
Yeah.
the parliamentarians. This is very, very unethical, and especially this is upper house of Pakistan.
And this time it might be too visible.
Too visible, yeah.
Or too noticeable. That's why it happened.
That happened, yeah.
But now when it has happened, that means you have answered it already, that Prime Minister's case is built already. And Imran Khan might have helped him in that in that context. But second thing, what happens to the status or legitimacy of the elections that took place?
You see, till the time you see that any action is not taken and they are not de-seated, you see that. Till that time, they are the senators, you see.
Okay.
And they will continue to perform their functions.
And if they are de-seated or unseated based on similar kind of charges, their punishment will have a retrospective effect? Will it have any effect on the election itself or not at all?
First of all, you see that is a very difficult situation because you have to prove the guilt first,
Yeah.
whether that happened or not. Who will come
Imran
forward?
Khan Sahab says that
Just-
he knows it happened
No,
and he
just-
might have some evidence also.
Not just saying is not the evidence, you see that. Actually, you see that they have to prove that if the people, they will come forward who bought the vote, or the people who, who are on the other side, they will come forward because they need of evidence, you see.
And money changed hands.
So
The report is that somehow some punters were sitting in UK or elsewhere outside the country or Dubai for that matter, and they were transferring money to your accounts when you were actually voting for the candidate.
you see that, first of all, yes, these are the evidences because, but there's
So money changed hands.
there is a need of solid evidence, you see, to prove this. Otherwise, law is very clear that without any.
And Imran Khan says that I'm going to give evidence to NAB if they are not going to give an answer.
No, Imran Khan has had
You have shown, pointed out how difficult it is.
Yeah.
But let us just have an assumption that somehow it is proven. And if an MNA or MPA who actually voted is disqualified, will it impact his or her vote in the past that he or she has actually balloted or casted?
Of course, you see that actually, if we see that a person he was elected because of this, you see, malpractice, and if it is proved, so certainly you see that that will have effect. But you see that we go, sometimes we believe in that past and close transactions, whatever has happened.
So there is a possibility that
many
it
times,
might be.
many times apex courts, they have decided, you see that they have given their verdict about, like Islamabad High Court, that was which was not constitutional High Court at that time, and they protected the decisions of that court, what were done at that time. So it depends. Let's see what happens.
Right.
We can't say anything, but in some cases you see that
We don't have it in fine print.
yeah, we can't. We can't say because sometimes they are protected and sometimes that is implemented from.
Right. If you want to add to this, I have to close the program.
Yeah, actually, you see that from my point of view is this, that now systems are, you see, strengthening day by day. I'm very much optimistic about that. Like you see that NAB is taking up the matters, and you see that different bureaucrats, they are being questioned and interrogated and investigated. And same practice, I guess that the present incumbent.
So you're telling us that you are an optimist, right?
Yeah.
That glass is half full, it is not half empty.
Yeah.
It is what you're saying. Listen to our participants, of course. We have tried to cover as much ground as possible. We have talked about caretaker setup. We have talked about the possibility of elections being delayed or not being delayed. And then we have talked about, sale and purchase of votes as well. The problem ends where it starts, and that is with the imagination. Usually states and governments have the capacity to multitask. Somehow it happens in this country that whatever department we talk about, we hear people telling us that we have to start reforming it. We haven't done it yet, we will do it. So that should worry everybody. Let us hope in coming days we can see the kind of multitasking that is needed. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.